Hi everyone, it's Sandy, and today I'm doing my June book haul and my June wrap-up. Since I only purchased 5 books this month, and 3 of the 5 books I've actually read this month, I decided I might as well just combine both of these videos together. I'm going to be starting off with my June book haul. The first 2 books are books that I got at half-price books. If you had watched my summer TBR video, you would have gotten a sneak peek of these 2 books. The Wicked Will Rise by Danielle Page is the first book that I got, and this is the sequel to Dorothy Must Die. Personally, I really love Dorothy Must Die, and I've been wanting to get the sequel, and when I saw it at Half Price Books, I just had to get it. And the last book that I got at Half Price Books is Belle by Rachel Hawkins. In this book, I know that the main character discovers she has like a magical power, and then she has to protect her nemesis. The next 3 books are books that I've purchased and read this month. Before I get started with that, I would like to say that I've read 1 novella this month, 12 books, and 2 of the 12 books that I've read were audiobooks. So the first book that I purchased and read this month is P.S. I Still Love You by Jenny Han. This is the sequel to All the Boys I've Loved Before, and it basically picks up where the last book ended. I like Jenny Han's books, but they're always either like a hit or miss for me. Like, I wasn't the biggest fan of the Summer I Turned Pretty trilogy. I really liked her Burn for Burn trilogy that she wrote with Siobhan Vivian, and I really liked the first book, but for this one, I thought it was alright. I didn't enjoy this book as much as I did with the first book. I just wasn't really happy with some of the things that happened in this book, such as the unnecessary love triangle, although I did like the guy that showed up, but Peter will always have my heart. And there was just a lot of drama that was just so frustrating. I expected this book to have a lot of cutesy, adorable Peter and Lara Jean moments, and although there were some, there wasn't as much as I expected. I wanted to see a whole ton of relationship development, and all the drama between them just got in the way of that relationship development. I am pretty happy with how things ended, but I wish there was more. Like, can there be an epilogue, please? Because I'm the biggest fan of epilogues. I love reading epilogues because I always love seeing what the characters' lives are after the book has ended. And I also really love the baking that Lara Jean does. Reading all the baking that she does made me want to go on a baking spree. And also, like with the first book, I love the family aspect in this story. So overall, I gave this book a 3.5 out of 5 stars. The next book that I purchased and read this month is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. Oh my gosh. This book is a retelling of Beauty and the Beast, and our main character Feyre is hunting in the woods when she kills a wolf, and that wolf turns out to be a fae. Because she killed a fae, she is taken by another fae to live with him for the rest of her life. I love this book. I absolutely loved it. I love how the author incorporated aspects of Beauty and the Beast in this world, and yet the story was just so unique. Although it hasn't been long since this book was released, I can't believe I didn't read it sooner. And the romance. I love the romance. It was one of those types of romance that makes me want to squeal with joy every time something cute happens. I love the build-up of the romance, and I also really love the characters and their interactions with one another. The last 100 pages or so was awesome. It was so action-packed, so intense, totally unexpected, but I loved it. I just can't get over how much I love this book, and it's definitely going to be one of my favorites this year. 5 out of 5 stars. And the last book that I read and purchased this month is The Wrath and the Dawn by Renee Ahdieh. In this book, the caliph takes in a new bride every night, and at every dawn, the bride is executed. Our main character is Shazi, and she had a best friend who was taken in as a bride and she was executed, so she volunteers to be the bride of the caliph so she can get revenge on him. But once she enters the palace, things don't go the way she expected it to. So lots of people absolutely love this book. I've seen a ton of 4 to 5 star ratings, and I wanted to have the same feelings, but I didn't. For me, it just had to do with the characters and the romance. I just didn't like the characters. I couldn't really connect to them, and the romance just felt like insta-love to me. Shazi goes into this palace with intentions to kill the caliph, and then less than a week later, she starts to have feelings for him and wanting to kiss him. Just like, what? What happened to her hatred for him? It doesn't disappear that fast. Since I was already irritated by the romance, my irritation just kept growing as the story progressed. The story focused a lot on the romance, and I kind of wish it focused more on like the magical aspect of it. The magical aspect just popped up like very randomly, and I just wanted to know more about it. I also didn't really like the different POVs. Honestly, I couldn't care about Tariq's perspective. All I wanted to know was what was happening to Shazi in the palace. I did like some of the more action type of scenes, and my favorite character would probably have to be Jalal. I really enjoyed all the scenes with him in it, especially the ending scene. Also, I felt really stupid because I didn't realize that there was a glossary at the very end of this book, which I don't understand why they put it at the end when it should be placed at the beginning, because I don't like flipping towards the end of the book in case I spoil myself. So if you haven't picked up this book yet, there is a glossary at the back, and that will totally help with some of the terminology that is used throughout the story. So yeah, overall I gave it a 2 out of 5 stars. I really wish I loved it, but not everyone loves a book, so oh well. So now we're going to continue on with my June wrap-up, and the first thing that I read in June was a novella, and it was Maybe Not by Colleen Hoover. Maybe Not is a companion novella to Maybe Someday, which is one of my favorite Colleen Hoover books and one of my favorite contemporary book of all time. Maybe Not follows Warren and Bridget. I really enjoyed this novella, and I really love seeing Warren and Bridget's relationship develop, and I give it a 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read From a Distant Star by Karen McQuestion. I was actually sent this book by the author, and I have a full review on this book, which I will link down below if you want to check it out. This book is about a girl whose boyfriend has cancer, and one day her boyfriend is miraculously healed, but he's not really himself once he's healed. If you want to know more about my thoughts, you should check out my review. I give this book a 3.5 out of 5 stars. The next book I read was a book that I actually listened to, and it is Seriously I'm Kidding by Ellen DeGeneres. Ever since I've heard about audiobooks, I've always wanted to give it a try. I've tried several times before, but I could never really get into them, so I decided that I should try an audiobook that I have a feeling that I might like. I've always loved Ellen's personality, and while listening to this book, I've just loved listening to her talk to me. I really love Ellen's sense of humor, and I think that is why I really enjoy this audiobook, because it is read by her. This audiobook was my first time listening and actually finishing an audiobook. I give this a 4 out of 5 stars. The next book I read is 1,000 Pieces of You by Claudia Gray. This book is about a girl who goes into different dimensions trying to find the person who killed her father. I really like this book, and I'm so happy that I really like this book because this is a beautiful cover. I would have been so sad if I didn't like this book because I love this cover, and I always love it when a book that I like has an amazing cover, and this is definitely one of those books. I really love the aspect of parallel worlds, and I love seeing the different dimensions in this book. The romance in this book did happen a bit fast, and sometimes it did confuse me because of the whole like parallel worlds aspect, if that makes sense. But I did really enjoy this book overall, and I give it a 4 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read is one that I checked out from my library, so I don't have it with me, and that book is Perfect Chemistry by Simone Alcalas. So Perfect Chemistry is a perfect title for this book because the two main characters, Brittany and Alex, they're in chemistry class together and they get assigned partners. I'm not going to go into much details about this book because I think you should read it without knowing much. In the story, they just go through a lot of stuff in their life, together and individually. One of my closest friends, who's not a big reader whatsoever, she loves this book, and I've always been interested in wanting to pick it up, but I never got around to doing it until I found that it was available at my library. So I finally picked it up, and I did really like it. Aside from the romance, I liked reading about the struggles that both characters face. They do have struggles together, yet they also have their own individual struggles that I liked reading about. The last couple chapters, including the epilogue, made my heart melt, and I highly recommend this book. I give it a 4 out of 5 stars. Next, I read Breakable by Tamara Weber. This is the companion novel to Easy, and it follows Lucas's perspective. This story is a mixture of Lucas's past and then Lucas's present of when he met Jacqueline. So like after reading it, I kind of had mixed feelings about it. I just felt like this story was just unnecessary. I was excited to pick this book up so I can learn more about Lucas's past, but as I was reading it, it just didn't work for me. Some of his backstory and the things that he did when he was in high school just felt really repetitive to me. While I did like learning about some of his friendships, overall I wasn't that interested in the rest of his life. Oddly, I was actually more interested in wanting to read about his life with Jacqueline in it, and basically it's a retelling of Easy in his perspective. I just wanted to know more about that. It has been a year since I've read Easy, and I just wanted to get back in that story. I give this book a 2.5 out of 5 stars. And then I picked up Sweet by Tamara Weber, which is a companion novel to Easy, except it follows two different characters, and these characters did appear in Breakable. I love the dual POV of seeing them when they were young, when they were in high school, and then seeing them in their present time. I loved how it started off as them being really close friends and then seeing it slowly develop into a relationship. Overall, I did like this book and I give it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. The next book I read is Steelheart by Brandon Sanderson. This is my first Brandon Sanderson book, and after reading this, I just want to read all of the Brandon Sanderson books. This book takes place in a futuristic Chicago where there are epics, and epics are basically people who have developed a superpower. And in this Chicago, the city is ruled by Steelheart, who is a person who has the ability to turn things into steel. He is basically invincible, but all epics have a weakness. No one knows what Steelheart's weakness is, but our main character David has seen him bleed once. You'll learn more about how that happens. In this story, there are reckoners, and they are people who band together and they kill epics, and David wants to join them. When David was younger, something happened to him that involved Steelheart, and now he wants revenge. And this story was just so good. Books that have people with superpowers are my type of books. I always love reading those types of books. While the idea isn't original, Brandon Sanderson manages to create a really unique world in my opinion. I love the elements surrounding an epic's power, such as them having a weakness and other abilities. I also love reading about the power structure of each epic because there are some epics that aren't as strong as other epics, and it was just really fascinating reading about that. I highly recommend this book. It's action-packed, great characters, great storyline, 5 out of 5 stars. The next book that I've read is one that I've also listened on audiobook, and it is Invaded by Melissa Landers. This is a sequel to Alienated, and I'm not going to go into much details about my thoughts since it is a sequel. To be honest, I wasn't expecting to like the sequel because A, it has been over a year since I read the first book, and B, I normally don't like sequels as much as the first book. But I did really like this one. I like reading dual POVs because we get to see the problems that each character face in their specific location. I really like the new characters who were introduced, good and bad. It was really cute seeing Kara and Alex's romance develop, as well as seeing the romance of other characters develop. Is this series just a duology? Because I haven't heard any news about the third book. I'm happy with how things between Kara and Alex were left off in this book. But there is one major plot that isn't resolved and could be more fleshed out in the third book. So I don't know if there is going to be a third book. Hopefully there is, because I would like to see more in this world. And I give this book a 4 out of 5 stars. The last book that I read this month is one that I haven't finished as of now in this video, but I still have a day and a half left to read this book, and I have less than 100 pages, so I know for sure that I'll finish it in time. And that book is Salt and Stone by Victoria Scott. There are a lot of sequels that I haven't read yet, and I really want to start catching up on that. This book was available at my library, so I didn't want to pass up the chance to read it, so I decided to just check it out. And I am really enjoying it. At first, it was really irritating seeing Tella always trying to pick a fight with Guy. He kind of treated her like a child, and she kind of acted like a child, so that frustrated me. I really love the action in this book. There's like non-stop action, and it always keeps me turning the page. I really like seeing the connection that the Pandoras have with the Contenders and seeing how important of a role that they play in the Brimstone Bleeds. So as of now, this book is going to be a solid 4 out of 5 star rating. That is it for my June book haul and my June wrap up. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any similar books that you've read this month or bought this month, please let me know in the comments below, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!